The budget process can absolutely vary every year depending on your financial situation. And each year, admission priorities may change, funding can change. So it's a fresh look every year. How should we do our budget? And you needed to decide, the first step is to decide what approach to use. I would say generally there's pretty much two approaches, top down leadership, executive board telling the staff what's possible financially, how much funds are available, or the opposite, a bottom up, where staff are just allowed to dream and create a budget, and then the funding sources are solidified and the budget is balanced. And then maybe a hybrid of the two is pretty common. Well, that deals with the approach, but I want to talk about the philosophy today. And the philosophy that I always recommend, very strongly recommend, is that you use a zero-based budgeting philosophy. So what does that mean? Well, it really means that you start the account level detail prep work for a budget at zero, meaning, okay, how much are we going to spend on hospitality? Nothing until we can prove how we're going to do that. Prove how we do it would be to state, oh, well, we have a vision to host X number of meetings per year for this particular target audience. And so then you have the number of meetings, you have the targeted number of participants, the per meal cost, and you come up with what the budget should be. So that's zero-based budgeting. It literally starts from zero and it calculates or justifies and plans every dollar in the budget. So you might ask, why is this valuable? Or what would the results be if we did it this way? Three things I'll share with you. Number one, the fresh assessment of what it takes to operate a program comes when you look at it this way. Just because we've always done it doesn't actually mean it works. So when you use a zero-based budgeting philosophy, you assess what it takes to really operate a program or ministry. Second reason is that you actually then have budgets that get spent. I know that sounds funny, but I've seen many financial reports where there's a budget and it's sitting there, not being tapped, not being used, and all year goes through and a fraction of the funds budgeted, or maybe none, is actually used. This is a problem because there's a revenue to every expense that's budgeted, and that revenue is a goal that's being looked at and measured as to how it's being achieved. And if there's expenses that are not necessary or needed, then the revenue goal is overstated and could actually be reduced. So that's the second benefit. And the third one is my absolute favorite and the core reason why I recommend zero-based budgeting, and that's that it creates a place for visionary planning. You see, to make a plan that starts with zero, you have to have thought through the how to do it, the vision, the why, the momentum. How do we harness that? How do we accelerate it? And so a zero-based budget is absolutely going to lead to a greater mission impact.